You know, I've been thinking about something lately. I don't think people wake up one morning and decide, today I'm going to settle. I don't think anyone dreams of a life that feels smaller than the one they imagined. I think it happens slowly, quietly, almost without us noticing. One compromise, then another, until one day you look around and realize you've been surviving instead of living. I think one of the biggest lies fear ever tells us is that this is the best we'll ever get. The best job, the best relationship, the best opportunity, the best version of ourselves. Fear has a strange way of shrinking our world. It whispers, what if nothing better comes? What if you leave and regret it? What if this is as good as life gets? And when we listen to that voice long enough, we stop chasing what we deserve and start protecting what we already have. Even when what we already have is making us unhappy. What's interesting is that settling doesn't only happen in relationships. Sometimes we settle for jobs that slowly drain us, not because we love them, but because uncertainty feels scarier than dissatisfaction. Sometimes we settle for friendships where we're always the one reaching out, always the one checking in, always the one making the effort. Not because it feels good, but because we've convinced ourselves that losing people is worse than feeling lonely while they're still around. Sometimes we settle for dreams we've already outgrown. We stop believing we're capable of something bigger. Not because we aren't capable, but because disappointment has made us cautious. And slowly, without meaning to, we begin negotiating with our own potential. I wonder how many people are living lives they never actually chose. Not because someone forced them, but because fear quietly made the decision for them. Fear is really loud. It doesn't usually scream. It whispers, stay, don't risk it, be grateful, at least it's something. Now, don't get me wrong, gratitude is important. There's beauty in appreciating what you have. But gratitude should never become an excuse for accepting what continuously breaks your spirit. There's a difference, a very important difference. Sometimes we confuse comfort with peace, but they are not the same thing. Comfort is familiar. Peace is healthy. You can become comfortable in situations that are quietly hurting you, simply because you've been there long enough. Human beings adapt to almost anything, even unhappiness, even disappointment, even being overlooked. And maybe That's what scares me the most. Not that we experience pain, but that we sometimes become so familiar with it that we stop believing life could feel different. Maybe you've been telling yourself, I'll leave next year. I'll apply when I feel more confident. I'll start that business when I have enough money. I'll speak up next time. I'll choose myself eventually. But what if eventually keeps moving? What if 1 year becomes 5? What if 5 becomes 10? How much more of your life are you willing to postpone while waiting to feel ready? Because here's something I've learned. Confidence really comes before the decision. Most of the time, confidence shows up after you've already taken the first step. And maybe that's why change feels so frightening. Because when you are standing on the edge of something familiar, even if it's making you unhappy, the unknown always looks bigger than it really is. It's strange, isn't it? We spend so much time wishing our lives were different. But when an opportunity to make them different appears, fear suddenly becomes very convincing. It starts asking questions. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I leave and things get worse? Those questions sound logical, but have you ever noticed something? Fear really asks the opposite. It almost never asks, what if it works? What if this decision changes my life? What if the thing you're afraid of is exactly what you've been praying for? Fear has a habit of only showing us one side of the story. And if we are not careful, we start believing that's the whole story. I think that's why so many people stay in situations that have already stopped helping them grow. Not because they're weak, not because they don't know they deserve more, but because uncertainty is uncomfortable. And comfort, even uncomfortable comfort, can become addictive. At least you know what to expect. At least you know how tomorrow will feel. At least you know how to survive there. The unknown asks something different of us. It asks us to trust ourselves. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. I've realized that one of the biggest battles we'll ever fight isn't with other people. It's with the voice inside our own heads. The voice that says, you're too late. You're not qualified enough. Someone else could do it better. Who do you think you are? Maybe you've heard that voice before. Maybe you've listened to it. I know I have. And the difficult thing about that voice is that it doesn't always sound like fear. Sometimes it sounds like reason. It sounds responsible. It sounds realistic. But there's a difference between being realistic and limiting yourself before life even has the chance to surprise you. Life has surprised people in ways they never imagined. Someone got the job after almost giving up. Someone met the love of their life after believing they'd always be alone. Someone started over at 30, at 40, at 50. Someone discovered their purpose after years of feeling lost. None of those people knew it was coming. That's the thing about life. It rarely sends you a calendar invitation before everything changes. So maybe, instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? Try asking,